Tales of Veldrith, written and produced by Matty Taylor. Episode 11, The Sentinel, Chapter 8, Descent into Darkness. The entrance to the catacombs lay hidden beneath the ruins of an ancient chapel on Jorvik's outskirts. Vestinus, Eira, and a select group of seasoned warriors stood before the weathered stone steps leading into the earth. Each carried a torch, its flickering flame casting dancing shadows on the walls.
Remember,
Vestinus instructed, his voice low but firm.
Our primary objective is to locate the cult's main chamber and gather intelligence. Engage only if necessary.
The team nodded in unison, their expressions resolute. With a final glance at the fading daylight, they descended into the depths. The air grew cooler and more oppressive as they ventured deeper. The narrow passageways twisted and turned, the walls adorned with ancient carvings and niches where the dead once rested. The silence was palpable, broken only by the soft echoes of their footsteps. After what felt like hours, they reached a vast chamber, the ceiling arched high above, supported by pillars etched with symbols of death and rebirth. At the chamber's centre stood an altar, draped in dark cloth and surrounded by candles whose flames burned with an unnatural hue.
"This must be it,"
Eira whispered, her eyes scanning the room. Vestinus nodded, stepping forward cautiously. As they approached the altar, a voice echoed through the chamber, dripping with malice.
"So, the interlopers have finally arrived."
From the shadows emerged a figure clad in dark robes, his face obscured by a hood. He moved with a predatory grace, his presence exuding an aura of menace.
Kale.
Vestinus murmured, recognizing the cult's enigmatic leader. Kale's lips curled into a sinister smile.
"You are persistent, Vestinus, but your efforts are in vain. The heralds of Iran cannot be stopped."
Eira stepped forward, her hand on the hilt of her blade.
"We've disrupted your rituals before. We'll do it again."
Kale chuckled softly.
But this time, you are too late. The summoning is nearly complete. Soon, Iran's avatar will walk this realm, and death will cleanse the world.
Vestinus tightened his grip on his weapon.
We won't let that happen.
With a swift motion, Kyle raised his hands, dark energy swirling around him. The chamber trembled as shadows coalesced into monstrous forms, their eyes glowing with malevolence.
"Face the wrath of the heralds,"
Kale declared, his voice echoing with unholy power. The team braced themselves as the shadowy creatures lunged forward. Blades clashed, and the air filled with the sounds of battle. Eira moved with lethal precision, her strikes cutting through the darkness. Vestinus channeled his arcane abilities, unleashing bursts of energy that illuminated the chamber. Amidst the chaos, Kale advanced toward the altar, chanting in an ancient tongue. The symbols on the altar began to glow, pulsating with a sinister light.
"He's completing the ritual."
Eira shouted, parrying a blow from one of the shadow creatures. Vestinus's eyes narrowed.
We have to stop him now.
Summoning his strength, Vestinus surged forward, breaking through the fray. He reached the altar just as Kyle raised a dagger, poised to make the final sacrifice.
No!
Vestinus roared, thrusting his blade toward Kyle. Kyle turned, a look of surprise flashing across his face. The blade pierced his side and he staggered back, the dark energy around him dissipating. The shadow creatures faltered, their forms wavering before dissolving into nothingness. The chamber fell silent, the oppressive aura lifting. Kyle clutched his wound, glaring at Vestinus with burning hatred.
"This is not the end,"
he spat.
"Iran's will cannot be denied."
With a final defiant gaze, Kale collapsed, his body lifeless at the foot of the altar. Eira approached, breathing heavily.
"Is it over?"
Vestinus nodded, though his expression remained grim.
For now. But the cult's influence runs deep. We must remain vigilant.
As they made their way back through the catacombs, the weight of their victory mingled with the knowledge that the battle against the darkness was far from over. But for the moment, Jorvik was safe, and the dawn of a new day awaited. Tales of Veldrith is brought to you by Metal and Magic, purveyors of Celtic and Viking-inspired casual jewellery. Visit metalandmagic.com. That's Metal and Magic with a CK.com.